Let's look at hard news versus soft news. Let's look at the meaning of hard news and then soft news. There are two basic categories of news: hard news and soft news. It is actually difficult to differentiate between the two, but when you take a closer look, you will discover that there's a thin line dividing them. So let's look at the definitions. What is hard news and what is soft news? As a journalist, you need to understand the two and understand the nature of the two so that when you move into the field, you will know which one you're supposed to pick for your medium. There are actually publications, for instance, newspapers or magazines that are soft news publications or soft news media, and there are some that are hard news media, and most of them combine the two. But let's look at the concept of hard news and soft news. What is hard news? Hard news refers to breaking events. It could be about personalities or about disturbing developments that could cause fear, create tense atmosphere, or significant disruptions in the routines of daily life. This is saying that hard news is breaking news. Remember that news is an account of an event, and it's an account of a current event, a current happening. So most of the news stories you find in the media are hard news stories. They are about breaking events, about deaths, about friction in the society, about stories that make impact, stories that create tense atmosphere, stories about COVID-19, stories about accidents. Hard news is everywhere. Now, hard news is not always bad news. Remember, the definition of hard news says significant disruptions in the routines of daily life. That's also hard news. For instance, if federal government of Nigeria increases the salary of workers, that's not soft news. That's hard news because it involves significant disruption in the routine of daily life. That's not soft news. It is hard news. So hard news is not always bad news. I've given example of federal government increasing salaries of workers. That's hard news. If federal government provides loan to farmers, that's good news. That is hard news. If federal government provides palliative for a particular segment of the society, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, the various governments were providing palliative for people in the society. That's not bad news. It is good news, but it's hard news. So we're just trying to emphasize the fact that hard news is not always bad news. Now, hard news is about major issues. Hard news is about things that people must know about. What are we talking about? It's saying that hard news is something that has to be in the news. That's why it's serious event. It's something that involves disruption of routines in the society. Serious stories are things that you should report. On the other hand, soft news deals with topics or events that are light-hearted or not serious. So it doesn't mean that they are not newsworthy, but they are not as serious as hard news. The basic thing you should take away from this definition is that soft news is primarily entertaining. So most times soft news comes in form of picture stories. That is not to say that there is no soft news that comes in form of straight news report, but most times you find them in picture story format. Maybe you find picture stories like how to do it articles, how to be a good student, how to be a good husband, how to be a good wife, how to have a good partner, how to invest in the society, so most times you find soft news trying to relax the mood of the audience, unlike what you find in the media, mostly hard news, death here, accident there, but soft news keeps you calm. Now let's look at example of the two. Both of them, hard news and soft news, are very essential in journalism. Most media organizations want to carry the two. They don't want to keep hitting their audience with just hard news. Sometimes there are sections of newspaper they need to go to and find soft news. It's for newspaper. Even the broadcast media, they have programs that carry soft news, programs that are basically light-hearted. So that's the thing. That's why it's essential that you know the meaning of the two. Let's look at examples. Hard news examples. Look at the first one. Lockdown. 45-year-old man commits suicide in Imo. Now this is clear. It is about suicide, so it's hard news. Lockdown. That's the kicker. That's a kind of headline we call the kicker. Lockdown, the kicker introduces the main headline. Apart from the fact that it is bad news, you can see that it is serious news. Second one, FG orders banks to open from Monday. Now, the federal government is ordering banks to open from Monday. Now, this event took place during the COVID-19 lockdown. When the lockdown ended, federal government ordered people to begin. Now, you may say, this is not negative news. As I said, it is serious news. So you need to understand that the seriousness of the event makes it hard news. If it is unserious, probably, yes, it could be soft news. But the fact is that when banks are told to resume, this is something that impacts the society. So it is hard news. Now let's look at example of soft news. Just two examples. Do you know this expression, a taste of your own medicine? This is a feature story explaining the expression, a taste of your own medicine. So it's trying to relax the mind of the audience. Nothing serious, nothing negative, but it carries serious information too. But it's not as serious as hard news. It is not breaking news. It is a feature story that relaxes the mind. It is entertaining. That is why it is soft news. Now, this one is feature story, but look at the next example. Woman keeps duck egg in bra for 35-day hatching. A woman kept the egg of a duck inside her bra for 35 days for it to hatch. This is a straight news report, but it is soft news. You can see that, yes, it is odd news. There are odd news stories that are hard news stories, but this one is not serious. So you can see that it is a bit amusing. It's a bit entertaining. So it's a straight news report, but it is soft news, which is to say that soft news can come in form of straight news reports or in form of feature stories. Take a look at this story. That's another example of hard news story. Breaking: Lagos discharges 49 former COVID-19 patients. That's a hard news story. Easy to identify because of COVID-19. That's a serious event. Look at this. Drug giant Pfizer says vaccine very close to trial phase. That's another serious story. So it is hard news. So you can see that it is easy to identify hard news and also easy to identify soft news. But when the story is probably amusing, probably entertaining, and it relaxes the mind of the audience, it is soft news. And then most times soft news stories come in form of feature stories. It could be a story on travels. That is, you write about travels, what it takes to go to different countries, tourist attractions. It could be a story on fashion. It could be a story on health development. It could be a story on physical fitness. These are soft news stories. They come in different ways. They can come in straight news report or come in feature story format.